Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor. I'm back at y'all again. Now, a lot of y'all been asking me to speak about the 5G. Well, I didn't want to come out and jump out and start talking about it. I knew some things, but I wanted to go into the more deeper aspects of it because it has a lot to do with our spiritual DNA. Now, 5G. The G in 5G is for gene destruction. And we know that genetic codes has the information which is downloaded before birth, from before birth, to be able to spark at a later date. It has some powers in there for certain cultural biochemical structures that in later times it will spark and open up. And with the vaccines, what they do is they shut them down because they are carbon killers. What is carbon? Carbon is a form of melanin. But you have three forms of melanin. You have uromelanin, pheomelanin, and neuromelanin. Neuromelanin is connected to what we call chromosome 5. There's your 5G. Neuromelanin is connected to your chromosome 5. Neuromelanin has a lot to do with the neurological structure. And we know that the neurological structure has a lot to do with the mental, which is connected to the higher part of the spiritual aspect of your anatomy. Now, chromosome 5 has genes in it that holds information that is communicated to by the towers of the stars. The stars are towers, the suns are towers, the moons are towers. You said suns, plural? Yeah, it's more than one sun. That's why we have binary sun systems, binary star systems. Look it up. But anyway, during certain seasonal structures within the universal zone, there are ceremonies going on. The stars come together and they have meetings. And throughout these meetings, they are taken down, just like on any board member meeting, right? When we take in information, these stars, or we call these gods, are putting together energies or information because their words is energy. And how they send them to us or mail them to us is through what we call those atoms, those electrical atoms among us. We breathe it in. It attaches to our cells download it into the genes or genetic codes and says what it has to say to those genes that is laying dormant. Some of those genes have senses in it that can awaken beyond the senses that we have now. Like I said before, there are colors that exist that we know nothing about. We've never seen them. But if you go to other globes or other planets, those colors exist. Why? Because the way that the sun is pointed or allocated toward that planet. Do you get what I'm saying? So therefore, it affects the perception of what you are seeing on those different planets. So the way that the vibration is allocated on this planet is causing us to see the colors that we see. So therefore, our genetic structure is adhering to the illusionary reality of the colors that we're seeing. But the colors is actually more spiritual than the illusion. What I mean by that, the colors is actually more than a shadow. See, the objects that we feel, the physical objects, these are shadows of something else going on somewhere else. But colors are sound wave frequencies in the form of images that we can see through the eyes. So basically when we see in colors, you are hearing sound by seeing them through the eyes. So you can hear by way of seeing. Do you get what I'm saying? So these 5G phones were patterned or manufactured and processed to attack the carbon of the anatomy. And that carbon is the neurological carbon, which is neuromelanin. Now, what it's doing is it's trying to rewire our genes. You have to remember that the chromosomes have caps on them. And if you study it, I read a book, I forgot the name of the author, but I read a book a while back, it was a long time ago, about how it looked like they have been tampered with over time. The chromosome has a lot to do with the aging process. So when you cap them off, what happens is the aging process slows down. The vibration within those genetic structures slow down, which slows down the anatomy process, which damages, right, the evolutionary aspect of you being able to get older. So at one time, there was a race that was much older. If you go back to the Atlantis, the Hyperborean race and etc., you will see that they lived longer, but they had less senses, which made them more spiritual. You get what I'm saying? So the more senses that we evolved into our biochemical structure or our anatomy, the less spiritual we became because we were able to see things that were only shadows of something that was more real. Let me give you an example. The example of senses. At one time, there was a human race that couldn't see. They had to see by way of feeling. So if you were standing in front of me with your back toward me and I had a blue cup in my hand and I dropped it, that blue cup can only be seen by that person in front of me by the impact of that cup hitting the ground. That impact, what it does is it bounces the sound of that color of that cup and that image to that person's ears. And by hearing that sound, that person is able to see what I dropped through hearing it hit the ground. Do you get what I'm saying? So we are not evolving. We are devolving because the people that's running the planet, which is running the governments, which is in tune with the other governments on other globes and planets, they are slowing down the vibratory rate of frequencies that is communicating with us through the ceremonies of those energies and stars that is trying to connect with those things that's laying dormant in us so we can see the other colors that exist, because there's colors that exist that we don't know about, that if we see them, it'll heal us. But then there's colors that we don't know about. If we see them, they'll kill us. These things are real. Colors are real. They are alive. They have heartbeats. I could put you in a room of a certain color and heal you and place certain magnets in that room, right? And let off frequencies from record players, because you have to understand that record players has carbon in them. So through that carbon, there are sound wave frequencies on high megahertz that will get in tune with our brainwave frequencies and heal through the nucleus. It will send those signals into our brain and heal our body. That 5G tower or the 5G phones that they're now giving us, yes, that's what it's doing to us. It's slowing down those evolutionary processes, those spiritual evolutionary processes. So with that much said, Black Science TV 111, Osei Kufuor, I'm out. Peace.